Hello everyone and welcome to the 2016 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships. I'm your host Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and I am joined right here at the Peter Pan Park by Stephen Story, course director. Stephen, this is the final group of the day. How things been going for you?
Actually, this is the smoothest tournament I've ever had at this park. I'm usually the course director at all our major events here, Glassbone Open, Am Worlds, Pro Worlds now. And man, the course looks great. It's playing great. Things are drying up out here. There's a nice breeze going on, and seems like everybody's been in real high spirits today. So.
Well, and speaking of drying up, the last time we broadcast from here, it was just a bit wet. We were here for the glass blown a few months ago, and there were actually alternate baskets, alternate tees, and the DD team did an amazing job to kind of go with plans B, C, or D at that point. But here they're going to be seeing the regular course out at Peter Pan. What can people look forward to?
Well, like you said, they're able to look forward to actually playing the course the way it's supposed to be played. So this will be the first time we get to see, with the recent changes of 2016 on this course, what the pros, or what the ladies at least, are going to be able to do out here. We just got the last Masters card in, I believe, or they're still coming off, but it looks like the course played a little challenging for them. But it's just exciting to be able to have the course and not, have to put in 4 temp holes because everything's flooded. So we're really excited.
And I'd like to recognize that you're here. Normally you're down in Texas working a Dynamic Disc branch or a store.
Right.
Where should people come visit you if they want to come check out the action?
Yeah, I have the Dynamic Disc franchise down in Texas, Dynamic Disc Carrollton, so that's in Carrollton, Texas. We have a full pro shop with a full lineup. We carry all major manufacturers down there. And so if you ever come to Texas, come see us. We're pretty close to Dallas. Love to have you down there.
Well, I've got to ask, because I'm going to be talking about it a lot this week regarding the heat. Is this just normal for you? This is everyday action out here on this weather and this humidity?
Well, for me, since I'm down in Texas, this is actually nice and cool right now.
Hush your mouth.
I know a lot of other people. Well, I mean, normally we're looking at 100-degree temperatures even in Kansas, but because of the recent rain and the nice cool breeze that brought behind it, we're looking at a lot cooler right now than we originally projected. So there's plenty of water out on the course, so as long as everybody's drinking and getting in the shade as much as they can, which this park has got the most shade out of all of them, they're going to have they should get through pretty easily without much attention to the heat. So.
All right. Well, Big Dog Alan Sweeten told us last night at the players' meeting to make sure that you look more like a nice plump grape rather than a raisin. And I've been working on that grape action now for a few years, and we got to stay hydrated. It's going to be hot out here. I'm going to hide under an umbrella with a co-commentator at some point, but we're looking forward to it. So thank you for everything you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck this week.
Hey, thanks, Terry. We appreciate what you're doing as well. Super awesome coverage.
Thank you. All right, that's Stephen Story. He's here at the Peter Pan course. I'm also going to welcome in, as you are watching the group putt out on, that was our second to last group, we're going to welcome in Dave Weisblum here in a moment. Dave actually competed on the course here earlier today, and he's also going to join us, I believe, for a few holes of commentary. Dave, of course, being a sponsor and an employee over at Night Eyes, and we'll see if we can get him over here in just a moment.
That's got to be on your end, then. We have a good cook.
And joining me here on the tee of hole number 1 is none other than Dave Weisblum of Night Eyes. Dave, not only are you guys a huge sponsor and supporter of disc golf, but you're here as a professional disc golfer on top of it. How'd the round go for you? You just got off the course.
That was pretty good. I mean, it was kind of the get to know you around here in Emporia. I got to practice last night a little bit and, played a few of the wrong tees. I had about a 68-year-old guy showing me around last night, so I think he was showing me most of the seniors' tees. But all in all, it was a fun round. I kind of kept it in bounds. There's definitely some trouble you got to watch out for around here, and some tricky par fours and placement shots are pretty important. But all in all, I lost my putter of 14 years on one of the holes, so I was fishing around in the water trying to get it back, and threw the rest of the putts with a rock 3 and my up shots with a rock 3. So I'd say, all in all, I labored through it, but I don't think I shot myself out of it by any means yet.
Awesome. Well, Dave, Night Eyes was out here just 2 nights ago where everyone had the opportunity to get some light-up discs and then come out and play. They were over at Jones East. They played a few holes out there. It's very exciting to see Night Eyes getting involved, and would you say that has a lot to do with what you've been doing and your Frisbee background?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Night Eyes has stepped up, and I think that they're making, the only light-up discs that are fully containable, have the fiber optics that bring the light to the edge, and we've got 3 different profiles, your standard kind of putter disc, mid-range disc, and driver, high-speed driver, so everything you need to do to get out there and have some fun at night and throw around the course.
All right, well, that's Dave Wastebloom from Night Eyes. He's going to walk with us for a few holes. He's got this course dialed in, I think is what he told us earlier. So he's going to walk with us for a few holes. Of course, Dixon Jowers of Dynamic Disc is also going to be joining me. He's going to be doing some co-commentating throughout the weekend, and we're going to open things up with Dave. So thanks for joining us, Dave, and I think the women are just about ready. We're kicking off the 2016 PDGA Professional World Championships in just a few moments. Stay tuned after this whole preview at Peter Pan.
Jerry, are you ready?
Hole 1 starts off with a little more than the average course distance. Players can opt to try the lower line to the left or take the disc higher to the right over the OB baseball fields. The right line is a little shorter but comes with more risk. The green is relatively flat and clear from obstruction and gives the player a good opportunity for a chance at a putt.
Catrina Allen first on the tee, going out and around the OB fence on the right side. This is hole 1 at 375 feet.
Up next on the tee, Emporia, Kansas' own Paige Bjerkaas.
And Bjerkaas going up the middle, taking the OB out of play.
Up next, from Winterthur, Switzerland, Natalie Holloköi.
And clarification as to Natalie's hometown. Glad that she could join us here on the card.
From Pensacola, Florida, Madison Walker.
And Madison's off the tee with her patented forehand shot. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, this is in fact the last card of the day that will be teeing off here at Peter Pan. Let's talk a little bit about the temperatures that we've experienced out there today. Dave, they said that the hottest is yet to come. I think that's going to be during this round. We're pushing mid to high 90s along with some humidity. How did that treat you?
It wasn't so bad in the shade, but once you got kind of out into the sunlight, it definitely starts to heat up really quick, especially for people that are from Colorado or California where the humidity's a little bit less. Good shot.
And a great shot there by Madison as we see the wind blowing from right to left up near the basket here on hole number 1. Dave, we have a very diverse card here today in terms of sponsorship. Both Natalie and Paige being sponsored by Dynamic Disc. Madison Walker representing Innova, and Catrina Allen, of course, throwing Prodigy. Looks like Paige will be next to throw, and yeah, I am confirming that is her mom on the bag as her caddy.
It's a family affair.
And you guys will notice throughout the day that is not any kind of nerves by Paige. She's just a very quick thrower. She usually steps up and throws very quickly. So Natalie here will be next to throw. And right off of the bat here, Natalie with an approach shot turnover into the wind. And Dave, a Drew medal. It's got to be an exciting start here.
That was a great attempt. I didn't see that shot so much over around the left side of that tree, but she made it work. Almost got it in.
Dave, I know you've played a number of world championships, upwards of 10 or so when it was between the amateur and the professional ranks. Are there still nerves when you walk onto hole 1, even at a hole like here at Peter Pan?
I think that there's always a little bit of nerves and a little bit of jitters when you first step up, but once you get your first couple shots inbounds, it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit.
And as of, well, a few hours ago, I have officially missed my first World Championships tee-off in the last 21 years. I've managed to attend 3 or 4 amateur worlds and then 16 professional World Championships in a row. And this year, it is the first time in 21 years I am not going to be competing.
We appreciate your hard work out here, Terry, and everybody loves to listen to you, so I was just happy that I could, she hands a beautiful putt there. About, 30 feet, 25?
Great putt by Madison. Talk about first hole jitters. That may have just calmed all of them with that solid putt by Walker.
Kind of calmed me, so I think we're good to go.
And Dave, it couldn't be any more fitting. The replay this week is in fact sponsored by Night Eyes.
It's a beautiful thing. We're happy to be a part of the event, and we just kind of continue to build our relationship with the PDGA and the PDGA family, and our discs are kind of made for everybody, not only pros but also amateurs and recreational players. So we're just excited to be here and happy to help.
We're going to move over to hole number 2, where we have a hole preview. You're watching the PDGA Professional World Championships right here on SmashBoxxTV.
Hole 2 plays slightly uphill towards the basket. A strong thrower can take a hard low line straight at the basket through the trees, though getting the disc much higher than 8 feet will put it on the ground pretty quickly. Some players opt for the high right to left shot off the tee, but shots that fall short often end up on the opposite side of the divider bush that extends the length of the hole, leaving them with a blind upshot.
And Catrina Allen rips a drive right up the center of the fairway. And good forward progress there after hitting the trees on the left side.
Yeah, this is a tricky hole where you got to kind of get it out and not turn it over too much to get into the bushes over there to the right. And then we've got a little headwind as well, so it's kind of a touchy shot.
And Natalie will be pinched on that right-hand side of the bushes. And Walker with an alternative route, and that's going to work out for her. Dave, we're here at the Peter Pan Disc Golf Course, hole 2, again measuring in at 348 feet. This course is what many would consider a city or a park course. Obviously, we're in the middle of Emporia, Kansas, and this is what you'd find for most of your traditional courses throughout the country. We see a lot of courses expanding and being put up on private property and facilities or ski hills and things of that nature where people are dedicating the area specifically to disc golf. But this is very much a multi-use park, very popular one, and one where Eric McCabe has had a lot of influence and also certainly dialed in on his game.
Yeah, I think that, I like courses like this where it's just kind of a walk in the park. It's got great design. They've done some great things to kind of make some of the holes a little bit longer. I think there's, 3 par 4s out here that make it a little bit more challenging, and you've got to make some placement shots. So I think they're doing what they got to do to keep the course, keep people engaged in regards to not just deuce or die.
And as we stand out here in the middle of hole number 2, you may hear an umbrella pop every once in a while. That is no threat of rain, just doing our best to stay away from the sun that is beating down without a single cloud in the sky.
I think this is going to be the coolest day that we have here starting the tournament. I mean, yesterday and Sunday were just beautiful days in that there was cloud cover and there was also some breeze, and also it was in the low 80s, I think. And now it seems like the heat's getting turned up. So I think this is about the freshest you're going to see people out here for the week.
And great distance, although she's going to find herself on the right side of the bush line here, and I think she's going to have some challenges for her next shot. She got good distance, however, very obstructed on the next shot. We're going to do our best this week to give you as many updates as we can regarding the scores from around the tournament, regardless of division. I was just notified that Paul Macbeth has, in fact, moved himself to 13 under par after completing 14 holes. So if there's been any question as to whether or not Macbeth is ready for this year, I think so far here during this opening round, it's pretty clear that he's ready to go.
crushing it.
Another item that we'll talk about throughout the week is, of course, that there has been a change in the format here for the PDGA World Championships. Dave and I, after playing so many years, have been accustomed to 6 rounds, maybe 7 if things go well. Not quite 7.5 for either of us ever, but at least 6 rounds if you include a semifinals on Saturday. However, this year with just 1 round per day, there's actually quite a bit less golf. Even just a year ago when you and I were in Pennsylvania, we had completed 6 rounds between Tuesday's opening day and Friday's play. And this year, it's only going to be 4 rounds by that time. Do you think less golf is going to impact the turnout of this event?
I think that, it gives you a little bit of time to, do some other things and also get away, and enjoy some of the local things that are going on. I actually like it because, Terry, I'm getting a little bit older now. And, I think that, one of the big things about, coming to a smaller town like Emporia is like, you don't have to worry about traffic and rush hour. I mean, when it was in Pittsburgh and when it was in Portland the year before, I mean, you've got to get out there on the roadways and get to your first round during rush hour, and then you've got a lunch break, and then, running around and getting from course to course, especially when they're 20, 30, 40 minutes away from each other, can cause quite a bit of stress when you're an out-of-towner and really aren't familiar with the roads. But here, everything's within about 8 minutes, so, it makes it very, very easy, and also takes a lot of the stress out of, the transportation and logistics aspect.
Well, we certainly have to talk about the support that the city of Emporia gives all of the disc golfers. We're going to wait for Catrina Allen here on her putt.
Just a little bit to the right there. Maybe a little bit of jitter still in the first couple holes. Also had a little headwind there.
Very rare to see Catrina not capitalize on a putt from inside the circle's edge. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and just clarify what the circle means, as you'll hear us talk about it throughout the entire week. The circle is generally referred to as a 10-meter putting circle. And 10 meters is approximately 33 feet, just a few inches inside of that. So whenever you hear us discuss being inside or outside of the circle, we're not talking about the podcast put on by Bobby Brown and the rest of the crew over at Dynamic Disc. We're talking about the actual putting circle of 10 meters. Anytime you're within that 10-meter circle, you are not allowed to fall forward. That would be otherwise known as a falling putt. All right, we're going to stand down for just a few moments. We're through 2 holes. Here's our hole preview for hole number 3 at Peter Pan.
Hole 3 plays 350 feet through a small valley and backs up to the hill. The center of the fairway is relatively open, though with a bit of a low ceiling. The difficult part of the hole comes in the squeezing between that ceiling and the rising elevation to the basket that sits on a slightly raised green. Shots that get caught early will leave players with a challenging putt. Shots that cover the distance but don't land smoothly risk skipping out of bounds on the patio behind the basket.
And that is Catrina Allen's tee shot here on hole number 3. And getting past the initial low-hanging branches, she's caught up by the second set. And Dave, we saw all four of the competitors. Maybe it was an account for the wind, or maybe it was just a little bit of those nerves, but all four of our competitors seemed to have a little bit taller release than they were looking for. Got caught up by the trees that protect the center of the fairway here.
Yeah, this is a pretty tricky hole, and that, it looks pretty straightforward, like you should be able to hit the gap, but with a little bit of a downhill and then also the low ceiling that's on this hole, you don't want to dive out early because you're in the trees and bushes over there to the left. But if you turn it over too much and you don't keep it low enough, then you can hit these tree limbs and also these bushes over here to the right, which give you an obstructed stance. So you just kind of have to keep it really low and kind of keep the nose down and keep it straight, and hopefully get a little lucky sometimes.
Well, now we have seen back-to-back drives here by Madison Walker, where after the initial throw, which was a forehand that was low and in the ground, and now her second two drives have been a little bit too high with the nose up. Let's see if she can get that corrected. And an approach by Madison Walker. Of course, we want to remind everyone to check out pdgalive.com for all of your scoring and information throughout the entire week. And a few people on the board have asked about coverage. We do, in fact, have Joma's Productions are going to be covering the lead card throughout the week. I believe they are, in fact, on Paul Macbeth's card right now. So by tomorrow morning at latest, you should be able to watch Paul's round in its entirety. We also have Central Coast on a number of different cards that will also be producing post-round coverage. A full-blown media effort put on here by the Dynamic Disc crew and, of course, Marty Gregoire over at the PDGA to make sure we could give you as much coverage as possible. We'll talk with Marty a little bit later here today, as he'll be able to give us an update regarding the scores and the courses and where we can find all of the information. And Natalie with the furthest drive in the group, however, large tree obstructing her path between her and the pin.
Looks like she's going around to the left side maybe again. Seems like she opted for that on hole one, and looks like she's probably more comfortable with that shot.
She certainly has that Anheuser touch as we watch her go out and to the left of the tree. See a light and gentle breeze blowing the Dynamic Disc flag from left to right.
I don't even know if this is considered a moderate breeze out here. Gentle.
Soft, like a kitten. Solid putt by Madison Walker. Of course, we'd like to thank all of our amazing supporters and sponsors that we have for our broadcast this week. PDGA, in fact, the presenting sponsor of our live coverage, will be bringing to you each day, including the semifinals on Saturday morning and the final 9 of both the men and the women. Another solid putt here by Paige Bjerkaas. Many times people ask how they can help and how they can support our broadcast efforts. There's 2 very quick and easy ways to do that. First of all, make sure to thank and support all of our sponsors, any of our broadcast partners that have opted to give us some of their marketing dollars. So please go out and thank any of our sponsors, as we've talked about with Night Eyes and many of the others you see throughout the week. And another quick and easy way you can support us, go out and share the link. Make sure everyone knows that you're watching live disc golf. Speaking of sponsors, we're going to stand down for just a few moments as we move over to the tee of hole 4. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Professional World Championships.
Hole 4 leads the players into the woods Peter Pan is known for. 250 feet of open space off the tee catches some players with a small rise in elevation, but most of the trouble comes as the hole begins to tunnel through the trees. Players must play between the brush to the left and right and past the short pin to a mulchy green slightly out to the right. The green is on a small peninsula, but the creeks that make it don't often come into play.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flashlight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
And welcome back, everyone. We are catching up with the second to last card that has teed off here today. We are on the green of hole number 4. We got Zoe Andike. This was, in fact, one of the holes that was altered during the Glass Blown Open, again due to the wet, soggy, and rainy conditions. Dave, as we step up to one of the more challenging holes, and our card is working actually right now, Catrina and crew are working on a crossword puzzle, which is something very common for her to be doing. Dave, tell us a little bit about how you attack this hole.
Well, you just kind of want to head your drive out towards the Mando over there, kind of on a line straight at it, and then have it fade down back to the left. And I think the closer you get to the line over there where the trees are and where the creek kind of is, which is all what is it called? It's all in bounds, but you can get
Casual.
You can get into a little trouble over there. But if you get on the left side of this fairway down there, about 350, 370, then I think you've got a pretty clear angle at trying to get up and attack this hole and get your birdie.
Which is exactly what you did.
I was up there for the birdie, but of course I got my par. It's kind of a tricky second shot because there's really not too much of a line. You've got a tree that you got to either pick to go to the right or to the left of, and then it's a great designed hole. I actually think I parred this today, so.
And some say par is good.
Yeah, par's
unless you're Paul McBeth.
Yeah, well, 13
or Ricky Wysocki.
13 or 14 under after 14 or 15 holes. That's par for the course, right? Good thing you're not playing this year.
I heard they were scared, and just to be sure of it, I took my leg with me and put myself fully out of commission for the week.
Yeah, you've been icing it down and redressing it every night, just like the doctor said, and staying off of it, right?
Except for these 3 or 4 hour rounds, yeah.
Right.
And welcome back, everyone. I am joined here by Dave Weisblum. But Dave, I'm going to relieve you of your duties. Thank you so much for stepping in today. What are you going to do with the rest of the afternoon now that your round's complete?
Well, let's see. On that little peninsula hole over there, I lost my only putter. It's been in my bag for 14 years. It just rolled right into the water, but I was down trying to find it, so I'm going to definitely kind of go find that because I need it.
You feel like you need a putter?
I do need a putter. I was throwing rock threes for my upshots and my putts the rest of the day after about, hole 10 or 12. So a little bit of a disadvantage when you don't have your main putter.
I believe there's a few stores in town by Dynamic Discs. You could also find some other putters if you don't find the one you're looking for.
But I want that one back. But anyway, yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for the support from Night Eyes.
Absolutely.
And thank you for everything you're doing. And we wish you the best of luck the rest of the week. I'll take your umbrella.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Dave Weisblum. Now stepping in is in fact another master who was here on the course. He's got stats and details, all of which I know he's been working tirelessly on. I'm joined by Dixon Jowers, and Dixon, we're just waiting for these guys to clear off in just a few seconds. So I'd like to welcome you to the show. You ready to do this?
I'm excited about doing this, not just ready. This is going to be awesome.
All right, let's get to the action.
I believe that was Cat's M2, and that is a perfect spot. You can't walk up there and place it down any better than that. There comes the flex. Yeah, as long as you're beating that Mando tree over there, you're fine. She's in a good spot for a flick up shot. I'm pretty sure that was a St. Pro, possibly a river, Latitude River. She says she should have went with her Saint, so that's probably a river.
And Madison gets a kick off of the right side of the fairway. That's going to push her back left. She should be able to navigate around the Mando from there.
Yeah, it was a very good kick. And she is fading right. She's short of the Mando, but she's still going to have to beat it on the second shot. For all of these ladies, they're not playing this for 3, really. Catrina's in a spot where she could go for the 3, surely. But for the most part, you're just trying to get into a landing zone. So even though Natalie is off of maybe where she wanted to be, she can get back to that with the next shot and then scramble up and down for her par.
And we're moving down this 4th hole here at the Peter Pan course. You just completed your round. Tell everyone a little bit about how it went for you.
Well, for a while there, I thought lightning was caught in a bottle. I was actually perfect through the first 10 holes, including birdieing hole number 6, which I've never birdied before in my life. And then I took a 5 on the peninsula hole, which I was laying up on 2 shots, and both of them were awful. And then I parred everything else. So I ended up with a 49, which I'm happy with. My number in my head was 52 or better. I think that, at least so far what I'm seeing, 48 is the hot round by Smitty, Chris Smith. So I'm very happy with where I'm at right now, but it's kind of in my head. I've got half a smile and half of what could have been thought. But overall, I'm very happy with it because I've been stuck on 50 out here for about a month. So to be able to at least better that by 1 is a good deal.
And it sounds like a solid opening round. And maybe most importantly, unlike our previous gentleman, Dave Weisblum, doesn't sound like you lost your favorite putter and only putter.
No, I didn't do that. Oh man, she ripped a destroyer right there, Star Destroyer. And if she hit the very last limb possible, if she had beat that, she would have had about a 40-foot putt. Fantastic flick right there by Madison.
Also, thanks to PDGALive.com, we hear Paul Macbeth is now 15 under through 17 holes.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's thrown a Frisbee once or twice, and he's able to put them in the basket quite frequently.
Again, Natalie on the right side of the fairway. She will be throwing a turnover shot. We have yet to see her throw a forehand, so looks like it's going to be a standstill backhand shot.
Yeah, this is her gold line fuse. It's a utility disc that she uses. The only way she's going to get in trouble here is if she gets greedy. If she just tries to put it back to the middle, she'll be able to get up and down for her 4.
And that looks like it's worked out just fine.
Absolutely. Anything in the daylight there is good to be able to see the basket and have open footing. Now, Paige right here, she's right on the borderline of, do I play for the par or do I try to get this one? As the green narrows down, gets closer to the basket, OB pinches in on both sides. So the further she goes, the tighter it gets. So she was playing the layup shot and left it short. It looked like she kicked under the picnic table, but I think I saw a flash of blue come out the backside. So we might see a really interesting sit-down shot or something from Paige on the next. believe that was her F7, and if that's stuck on the mulch, she should have about a 20-footer for her birdie 3. But she was moving towards OB, and where she landed was probably only about 20 feet, 15, 20 feet from the OB line. So we'll have to get up there and see how the ground treated her.
And Madison with a gorgeous layup. What is that purple disc she's thrown?
That's her R Pro Rhino. Nosed it right up there to the pole. Although it did look like there's a bit of a downslope behind the basket, so she might have 15 or 20 feet coming back, but a good spot to be in after where her drive landed. Natalie there with her Warden. I believe that's a hard plastic Warden as her approach putter. She as well is back there with Natalie, maybe 15 or 20 feet coming back to the basket. And Paige did skip out from under the table, so no trick shots right now.
And speaking of trick shots, a previous Glass Blown Open winner in Simon Lizotte, we are going to be missing him this week. He is not going to be competing here at the World Championships. He has recently suffered an injury, and he is trying to heal himself. He said he's going to be missing everyone. We saw him with a few shots on a few posts on social media. So Simon, not sure if you were ultimately made it overseas or not, but we are certainly missing you here at the World Championships.
So this is one area where after our competitors finish hole 16, they actually walk across Forest Fairway. So it looks like our ladies are waiting. Madison will be looking right at the traffic, so she's going to take a break. She's got right at 15 to 18 feet for her par 4.
Solid putt by Madison Walker. And Natalie is also in. Catrina will have a branch to contend with here in her putting stance, her straddle.
And I think she may have been OB. I saw her kind of look to the heavens when she first walked up. So I don't know if that was for 3 or for circle 4, penalty 4 for our West Coast friends. So I guess we'll see here in just a moment.
And Bjerkaas is in. We're going to have a light, brief walk over to the tee of hole 5. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job. Go in. Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
And welcome back as we are on the tee of hole number 5. We're waiting for the 1230 card to clear out. Looks like there's just 1 or 2 putts remaining by that card.
And Catrina was OB right there, right next to the basket, so looks like our whole card went par 4s on that hole, which, truth be told, is not an awful score. To get a 3 on that hole, you have to have either an exceptional shot or 2 really good shots. So it's not losing strokes to hardly anybody. Even in the men's field, that's not losing strokes to a ton of people. Now this hole, on the other hand, it's very easy to lose strokes. Extremely tight driving lane, and pretty much every tree that you're threatening to hit wants to throw you in the water. OB, they're not just going to knock you down to the ground. I see our first competitor was through clean. Paige is a little high. She's playing just the straight hyzer to get it out into the open, which is the smart shot on this one. Just be safe.
And as you were just saying, it looked to be a very conservative play. Catrina throwing it very strong off the tee. However, we saw Bjerkaas with a much lighter attempt, and looks like Madison Walker there was also just going for placement more so than distance.
Yeah, I believe that was her T-Bird. Yeah, KC T-Bird there, I believe. Natalie's probably going with the truth here. Again, just to get it inbounds. And the worst you're going to do is a 4. But the skill of these ladies is plenty to get up and down for the 3. She turned it over. And hits a tree, and I believe she is OB. She will go to the short tee box here and play from that drop zone.
She is, in fact, out of bounds. And as you're saying, she'll move to the short tee. And she's getting a clarification. Dixon, I know there's been literally hundreds of hours of effort and work put into these courses in order to prepare them for the World Championships. And speaking of that, I can even smell some fresh mulch that looks like it was recently laid, and it smells really good. What kind of mulch is that?
Free mulch from the city. I'm not sure the brand. But what I would like to actually say something about this mulch. I was going to say it before you brought it up. This particular mulch, it was brought up to us on Saturday maybe that we needed some mulch on this spot. So the guy that laid all this down is a local guy here named Clint Kessler. Friend of DD, does not play disc golf, but he's just a helper. So he got out here several different occasions, moving baskets, laying down mulch, cutting trees. He builds a lot of things for us, and he has no desire to ever throw a frisbee. So just an excellent dude that wants to help and be a part of stuff. And so I want to make sure to give some attention to Clint. He's a good guy. He's loud as all get out, pretty abrasive at times, but he is a good dude.
And again, we just saw the 1230 card throw their tee shots here on hole number 6. And we'll be able to get into position here as Natalie's going to be throwing from the drop zone, which is the short tee found here on hole 5. The distance from the short tee is still over, what is that, about 318 feet?
A little over 300. If you're playing the short tees, you think, well, this is a gettable birdie hole. But when you're here on your drop zone and you're throwing 3 right now, you feel like you have to get up and down from here, and so that you only get a 4 on this hole. Because everybody that's safe is going to have a relatively routine 3, so you don't want to be giving away 2-3 strokes on one hole. Natalie going with a recycled Saint. And she crushes it. She is pin high, but she's going to have about a 60 or 70 footer. Now, that's the mistake to make. If she was going to hyzer in or anhyzer in too early there, you can find some other trouble. So she's going to have an open putt, just probably a little bit longer than she desired. And that's Madison Star Firebird. She's trying to get 2 on this hole. Oh, off the top of the basket. She's going to have a tap in 3, trying to get an I think this is a par 4 hole. There are some that disagree, calling it a par 3. I would have said that's an eagle. But anyway, it's a 2, however many, whatever word you want to call it.
I thought you said it was a Firebird.
No, well, yes. I guess it could have been an eagle. The Firebird was the eagle. Does that clarify? Okay.
Clear as mud. And Bjerkaas is needing a little skip there. I know this grass is longer down here in this lower valley area. How short is she going to be there?
Actually, I'm not too worried about that shot. She would have hit on a hyzer angle on that side slope. And down there in the valley, it is actually pretty dead. So I think she's probably within 20 right there because she had some good spin on it. Catrina, on the other hand, crushes her drive. It's going to have a little standstill putter shot. Distance does matter. It's not going to get her an extra stroke on this hole, but it just means that her approach is that much easier than everybody else's.
Natalie clarifying that she's more than 10 meters away from the pin.
And being from Switzerland, she actually knows what meters are. So Paige here, she did get a skip up the hill. I'd say she's about 20 or 25. Dead calm, flat putt. Paige will put this on frame, I have no doubt. It's just a matter of will it stick.
And that may have been either a grip issue or I'm not guessing that was anything to do with nerves. I would hope that was more grip than anything, as that came out of her hand in a very odd fashion out and to the right and not even thinking about drawing metal.
Yes, super high right there. Yeah, there's really no explanation from that. That's like a free throw or an air ball on a free throw. You just kind of shake your head and move on to the next one.
And last night, Madison Walker reached out when she realized she would be on the live featured card here on SmashBoxxTV. She said she was excited about the opportunity, and here she is making good on every one of those close-range putts. Madison has gone through spurts of being challenged by some of those closer putts, but she's got them dialed in today. We're through nearly a third of the course. She seems to be right on line. We're going to stand down for just a moment, get into position as we are bringing you hole 6 here at Peter Pan.
And that's a fine spot to be. She was looking obviously punch through that, but that leaves her a little more than 100 right in the middle. The hard part about this hole, obviously the canopy you have to get under, but then the green is the difficulty here. That's Madison's champ, Wraith. Looks like she's about 3 feet left of Catrina there. Again, fine spot. It's just such a difficult two to get here. Paige going with the river, and she gets just a touch further than everybody else. Again, great spot to be, a little jump putt from there. Natalie going with the Jade, which is a lightweight disc, and great kick there. That tree that she hit, if you get right of that, you have trouble. But she kicked to the left, so now this is going to be basically just upshot games for all four of them. We'll see if they can navigate the low branches of this green. So I had a chance to speak with all the ladies before the round. And was asking them, what do they think about, we're seeing some online chatter about the idea of a super card or stacking a card. Although this was done randomly, this was the group that kind of popped out. They kind of had different feelings. Like a couple thought, hey, it's not fair to other people and we should just draw random. And a couple people thought, well, this is good for television, if that's who people want to see. Natalie was real excited about it because now her club in Switzerland, they're all tuning in. They actually sent her a message yesterday. About 75 people all recorded a video wishing her good luck. Or I assume that's what happened. They were speaking a foreign language. I don't think they would record a video to say we hate you, but so it's definitely getting that crowd involved. So they all had kind of different feelings about, does it make them excited or nervous? Catrina obviously has the most experience. She was kind of indifferent to the whole thing. But everybody else said it gave them an energy that they're excited about.
And I'll follow that up by saying earlier today, after we see Madison's perfect approach, earlier today we saw Sarah Holcomb give accolades to the event, to Dynamic Disc, as well as to the PDGA, saying that she's glad there were not a super card that was in fact constructed here. So as another world champion chiming in with her input, saying that she's happy that there was not a featured super card. So a lot of different opinions, and really there's no right or wrong answer here.
Natalie has an extensive background in ultimate. She was trying to throw an ultimate shot there. What we call an air bounce, basically, where she lets it go low with her arm extended, nose up, and then generates a ton of spin to try to get it to ride for a little bit and then lift. But she caught some grass. She's probably only about 30 feet, but there is one evil branch that is going to be going from left to right through the basket as she's looking at it, that she's going to have to navigate.
And Catrina with a nearly perfect approach shot here from one knee, going with a pro move, putting down a towel so that she's not only not dirty her knee, but also to make it a little bit more comfortable. And Paige quickly, as usual, stepping up and throwing her approach shot. We would like to thank all of our broadcast supporters and sponsors, including the Professional Disc Golf Association. Please check out pdgalive.com for scores and updates throughout the week.
There's the branch of death. Natalie's trying to figure out, do I step to the left and go over it, or step to the right and go under it? She's going to try to hit that triangle between the branch and the trunk on an Anheuser shot.
And she hit the line, however, needed a little bit more power. We've seen her opt for the Anheuser shot a few times here when given the opportunity. And that time she went up and over the branch, just short.
Another question that I was asking the ladies is, do they have a number in mind when they approach a round? And Catrina and Madison both said, no, that's not really how I work, because if if I'm planning on shooting something and I start off slow or whatever, it can mess things up. And Catrina brought up a good point. She said, you've shot in a 54 on your course by bogeying the first 5 holes or by birdieing the last 5 holes. So it really, the final score can end that way in any number of ways. So she doesn't think about it that way. However, Paige, I asked her, and she said 57 or better. Natalie said,
Hole 7 allows the...
said, well, is that something you want to tell me? You can keep it a secret if you want. And she seemed like reluctantly, she wanted to play along, but it felt like she was letting go of a secret. She said she's trying to get a 60 or better.
And we have a whole preview for hole number 7. Let's take a look at that right now.
The player more room to throw again. Playing across a small valley to a green on the other side, players must be careful of overthrowing off the tee and ending up in the pond behind the green. As players clear the valley, the foliage tightens up back to the flat green that is surrounded by a couple of trees in very close proximity to the basket. Even good throws are often required to stretch some here to get a straight look.
And Catrina's drive comes up just short, but finishes left after the skip. She's happy with that effort. Madison will be throwing second.
Yeah, that's okay if you like 7-foot birdie putts. I believe that was Catrina's F7, and I think this is Madison's. Ooh, I'm not sure what that was, actually.
It was a backhand, which is worth noting as well.
That was Madison's was a wraith. I believe this is a truth or a saint. Paige plays so fast, it's kind of hard to, unless you know ahead of time.
And Natalie a moment ago came over to us to let us know that she feels like the discs are just flying so differently from than what she's normally used to. Do you believe that has to do with the humidity or altitude or a combination of the two?
Well, I doubt it's altitude because she's coming from Switzerland to Kansas. Yeah, and, we're celebrating the Flint Hills over here where, they're singing from the Alps. However, I think probably what she's talking about, I had a chance to play a practice round with her last week out here, and I'm guessing it's because of the air right now is just moist everywhere. It is so thick and humid right now that it is definitely affecting discs. Even my slow approach disc, I was noticing that it was coming out much more hyzer, as though it almost like it was going into a wind. That right there that she threw was an Air King, which is a 150 range, high-speed flippy driver. So that one turning over a little bit is not terribly surprising. But yes, it is. You can, on several different shots, she's had multiple discs in her hand trying to make a decision, whereas during the practice round, she knew exactly what she already wanted to do.
And PDGAlive.com lets us know that with approximately half the course complete, or a little bit more so. We have Paige Pierce currently in the lead. She's sitting at 3 down right now.
One thing that we're going to have to watch, I can see Paige getting a little hot under the collar under the last few throws. She has her mom, Noemi, on the bag to see if she can speak some calmness to her, get her to focus on her next shot. Natalie, actually, wow, I thought she had landed short of the stairs. I don't know if I've ever seen a drive back there. She crushed that thing and has almost an approach shot back into this green.
She was, in fact, inbounds, however, flirting with that water's edge, which is, of course, OB. And she's put herself within 6 feet of the pin, maybe even 4. Next to throw will be Madison Walker. And Madison with her Anheuser attempt, trying to get around one of the guardian trees. It looks like that's going to leave Catrina Allen with the only remaining birdie opportunity, and I'm guessing we can bank on this one.
Yeah, this is a real tricky basket here. These 3 trees that ring it here are all wider than the basket. So if you end up lined up on one of those things, you're going to have to get tricky. That was Madison trying about a 50-foot Anheuser putt there. Catrina is in with her 10-footer. Fantastic drive. That's if you can get, I mean, obviously on any hole it's great to be close to the basket, but this one especially, because you can have an awful 20-foot putt on this hole if you're stymied behind one of those trees.
And that one almost wanted to find its way out on the left side here on hole number 7. However, it sticks in. We're going to see 3 pars and a birdie by Catrina Allen. We're going to be back with you in a few moments. Stay tuned. You're watching opening round coverage right here at the 2016 PDGA Pro World Championships.
Hole 8 stretches the length out again at 485 feet from tee to pin. Multiple paths exist to the right and down the middle, but it will actually take an excellent shot to be looking at the pin after the first throw. Considerable brush and tree coverage require players to shape up their second shot in order to land on the green. The basket pushes close into the corner of the park near the 2 OB roads, so aggressive throwers must be careful to keep their discs in bounds.
Hey everybody, this is Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
And I'm Eric McCabe.
And we want to invite you to check out our podcast, The Disc Golf Answer Man, where myself and Eric McCabe, 2010 Pro World Champion, answers your disc golf questions. Any questions on discs to choose, life on the road.
Don't forget about the Ralph updates.
And even Ralph updates. So check us out. We have segments where we talk about health and wellness of disc golf, mind, body, disc, and he talks about the mental part of the game. So check us out on iTunes or Stitcher, or just look us up at discgolfanswerman.com.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flash Flight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
Hi, I'm Drew Gibson. You should have featured me on SmashBoxxTV. Hello, I'm Drew Gibson. We're here at the 2016 Memorial Championship. I forgot what I was going to talk
You pretty
about.
much nailed that. Yeah.
No. Okay.
No, don't.
Why?
Go.
I'm Drew Gibson. I'm excited for the 2016 season. We're at the first stop of the national tour, and I'm trying to read it, but because I have my glasses on, so you can't see I'm reading. I'm pretty good at this. All right, I'm gonna nail this one, and then
go.
Eight at Peter Pan. This is we're not back. Sorry, let's take a break, everybody. So here we are for the next par 4. There's a couple of different ways to attack this. Catrina looks like she's going with the wide, low hyzer here to put herself in a spot with about 200 to 250 feet to go with a good drive here. Oh, that's fantastic. She hit it. She hit the perfect angle, and sometimes on this hole you just have to be happy with getting it out there because that grass is very grabby, but she got a really good skip off of that to improve a fantastic shot. And Madison goes with the skinny straight shot. She was clean through it, but came out a little low, so she suffered a little bit on distance, but she should have a good line from there. This is Paige's air halo, and she gets it out low. She still probably can save a 4 from there. She's not in trouble. She just lost a lot of distance. And Natalie with the Bio Renegade. Yeah, great shot. And that one got just the tiniest little skip that's pretty typical on that hole, but she hit the gap perfectly just to the right of the Guardian tree, just under its hanging branches. So Paige now, this bush that is in between her and the basket, it looks like a bush, but it's actually an evil disc-eating bush empire. It is about 70 or 80 feet across. It is a circle, so a ton of foliage there, and it grabs your discs, and it is darkness in there, and she pops it right over the top. She's on our left pin on this hole. So she'll have about 120 feet or so. Pretty open angle to get up and down for her par 4. This is Madison's Star Destroyer. She turns it over nice. Oh, man. She was going to get back to the middle and have an easy jump putt. So she's still going to have sort of distance for the jump putt. It's just going to be a little more difficult now. So now let's approach up to disc 10, 15 miles an hour.
Hello.
Natalie's going to have to make a choice here. She is right at the fork in the road. She's got a little over 200 feet. She can go to the right and try to hyzer in between 2 really grabby cedar trees, or she can try to hit an early gap about 15 feet across between 2 trees that are only about 50 feet in front of her on the Anheuser line.
And as you said, she had 2 options, and really no surprise from what we've seen in the first few holes. She seems to go with an Anheuser whenever given that opportunity.
Yeah, and that was a great shot. She's inside the circle, maybe 30 feet to the left. A great spot to be with a birdie look on this hole.
A standstill forehand approach shot. That's going to nestle up right next to the pin.
Yeah, great shot there by Catrina. Just a little stable fairway driver flick. She's got about 10 feet left. I hope that if the cameras are picking up the way that Natalie's disc is flying, I hope some of the disc golfers, and especially some of the ultimate players out there, can appreciate what the way that she's throwing with the nose up and lots of spin. It allows you to do a lot of different things with the disc with a very highly repeatable motion, and get you to do some things like that. When she first let go of that disc, I didn't think it was going to hold that ante at all.
And a simple low skip shot with Paige's favorite overstable, Justice.
I believe that was a Justice right there. Yeah, Madison was trying to decide there. She put the Colt back in the stable, came back with the Rhino, and slides it up to about 3 feet for her par 4.
And it looks as if Natalie is carried further past the pin than we maybe realized from our vantage point previously.
Yeah, she's like about 60 deep. So if you saw how little effort and standstill that she threw, that disc probably carried close to 300 feet.
And really just too much lift, a little bit too much power coming up and over that basket. Paige is going to be left with inside 12 feet. Hole number 9's tee pad is less than 100 feet, I would say, from hole 8, so we have a very brief walk. Hole 9's has to be one of the shortest holes that we find on this course, isn't it, Dixon?
Well, it's one of the shortest holes that we have in town. And this is this intersection right here. Some interesting things can happen. There's usually a lot of activity in the neighborhood right here. Dog across the street that's always talking to everybody. There's Catrina in for her birdie 3. But we played one tournament out here where we could hear this for the holes 6, 7, and 8. We heard this faint band, like a live band and horns and everything. And as we got over here, it was a quinceañeras parade. It was coming down the street. So for about 10 minutes, I mean, there were guys riding horses. There was a live mariachi band walking, a bunch of 15-year-old girls in their prom dresses. So it was quite a show here at the corner for a while during, I believe that was during Monkey Island Open earlier this year.
And speaking of shows, we invite all of you to join us. I'm guessing our podcast may be almost that lively as well tonight. You can join us at 8 p.m. We are going to check it out throughout the week as to whether 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. will be the perfect start time. However, tonight it will be at 8 p.m. Central Time. So please join us for our nightly podcasts. We'll be bringing you those throughout the week. They'll be taking place over at the Country Club Disc Golf Course, where they have set up a studio for us, and thanks to ValueNet and everything that they're doing for us this week. We're going to stand down for just a moment. Here's our hole preview for hole number 9.
Hole 9 is one of the shortest holes on the course at 225 feet. The road to the right and Monkey Island to the left both play OB. Combined with the low-hanging foliage throughout, this hole still has the opportunity to frustrate.
And Catrina opting for the forehand route, which gets hung up by a bush, but does carry, sounds as if she may be within 15 feet of the pin. And Madison with her go-to forehand turns it over, not giving it enough air to come out of its flight path.
And Paige has crossed the sidewalk over there. She had a good flight on it. She just turned it over right off the bat, but it flew nice and straight.
And finding a notch in the tree, going through a tiny window on the top right. We find that Natalie will be in the fairway, however short of the pin. Hole 9 at just 225 feet.
Yeah, Madison's shot was unique here. Lots of people go with the forehand, but when they go with the forehand, they take Catrina's route. I don't know if I've seen anybody throw the turnover forehand straight with a mid-range disc there. So we're going to see her ability to scramble. As much as it looked like those shots were short, being that it's only 2 1/4 on the hole, Natalie and Madison are both going to have putts that are just outside the circle. Madison, there is one giant cedar tree just short and left of the basket from the tee box perspective, and I think Madison is going to be completely squared up on that. I know on the next hole the sidewalk is not out of bounds. I'm not exactly sure on the hole rules for this one, so we'll have to see if Paige is out of bounds there.
And just right is Natalie's birdie attempt from nearly the same distance. We have Madison, who's going to be straddle putting to get around the tree that's protecting the basket from where she's at. And with the nose up, with a great attempt there by Madison Walker, she's going to have to walk away here on hole 9 with just a par 3.
And Paige is safe. The sidewalk is safe on this hole. So she's actually going to have, she's probably right at circle's edge, wide open. You can see the flag on the basket is just barely looking at her.
And talk about turning a less than ideal drive into a birdie opportunity and capitalizing. Bjerkaas make good. Bjerkaas makes good. There's a lot of S's there. And Catrina finds herself within 10 feet. And in for the easy 2.
You sounded like a caveman there or something. Bjerkaas make a good putt. So Catrina nicks the top of her of that palm fronds and skips through the sidewalk and has about 10 foot for her birdie too. So again, several times Catrina is getting a birdie when everybody else is not.
And Madison with authority. We have a brief walk over to hole number 10. We're going to bring you the back half of round number 1. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Professional World Championships presented by Dynamic Discs.
Hole 10 blocks off the right side of the fairway with an early Mando left, almost right off the tee. The hole is bordered to the left by an OB creek, and smaller trees litter the fairway all the way to the hole. The green squeezes the player down into a small corner, OB Street on the right and OB Creek on the left. Putts outside the circle can prove to be treacherous here.
So we are here on hole 10. We've got a pretty tricky little hole here. Most people, or the preferred way to get to this hole is with a forehand. However, the fairway is sloping slightly right to left, and on the left-hand side is a pretty gross creek that it's a little tributary coming off the pond, and the water sits in there so still and just gathers bacteria and every manner of foulness you can imagine. So in an effort to stay away from that, we went ahead and put an OB Street on the right-hand side. So down by the basket, you've got about 20 or 25 feet left of the basket to the OB, and about 30 feet to the right is OB. So it pinches down there right at the end, and a forehand is generally the way to do it. I think Kat is giving it a run here with her D1. And that's how you do it. Again, if you like 7-foot putts, you should be Kat's doubles partner. Paige now going with the same disc she threw on the last hole. So if she overcooked it right on the last hole, that would actually be a fantastic throw on this hole. And it is high. It needs to hold that angle or catch those leaves. There you go. So yeah, that tree is about 25 to 30 feet, so she got a little bit of a roll in. She's going to have a shorter putt than she did on the last hole. Madison with a Firebird flick. Oh, that's looking perfect. Jump up that hill. Great shot right there. 15 or less. And Natalie going with that same halo that she threw 2 holes ago on the Standstill Annie, so I bet she's going with that same idea here. And there it is, and it's flexing beautifully around the tree. What a fantastic touch shot. She got the perfect amount of turn to get her to the right side of that guardian tree, and then enough to hyzer back around. So she's going to be inside of Paige, probably sitting at around 20 feet. So between our 4 competitors here, 4 great shots, 4 looks at birdie on this pretty difficult hole number 10.
And Dixon, I just walked past the sign that in fact notifies us there's no swimming allowed here in this pond. Was that even an option for you at any point?
That is a negative. I like not having hepatitis, and so I stay out of that water. There's the guy, Art Palafox, that we were talking about, that goes and digs all of the discs out of the Jones waterways. He refuses. He goes in there with scuba gear, and he refuses to touch this water. So we have a couple of older gentlemen that they've made it their daily job to come out here with some pretty interesting looking homemade rakes that they will toss out there, drag them in, and take them over to the dynamic disc shop.
And after the women make their birdie attempts here on hole 10, Dixon, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we can see on the back half of this course, in terms of the difficulty, the scoring, any of the holes that we really need to consider or look out for. But first we have Natalie's putt for birdie from 28 feet. And just short, that may have been actually maybe just inside 25 feet. That's at least what Paige is looking at here. And again, an air ball to the right side of the pin. One certainly has to wonder if there's if it's mental or if there is a grip issue there.
Well, it's like she's got 2 different putts. If you think back to her putt on the last hole, that was a laser beam that never got above half of the basket. But this one and the one that she missed on hole 5 earlier, I mean, they're 3 feet higher than the cage and 2 or 3 feet to the right. So I don't know if she's trying, maybe she's going with a pitch putt instead of a spin putt occasionally. But that one as well was pretty off.
And great concentration there by Madison Walker as a 1981 Cutlass Oldsmobile or something is rolling by in a loud fashion. Madison is in for the birdie. Paige taps in for her 3. And Catrina has less than a disc length between, correction, sorry, she is 3 feet. I was looking at something else. But anyway, within 3 feet. We're going to stand down for just a moment for a hole preview on number 11. And we'll also be back and talk about the back half of the course. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Pro Worlds.
What does it mean to grow the sport? Some of us want to see it on TV. Some want to see big crowds of spectators. Maybe all of that will come true. Right now, I just want to get out and throw. I just want to watch my disc fly. Just me and the course.
Hole 11 is one of the signature holes of the course, as the green sits on a thin peninsula about 12 feet wide. Most players could reach the basket from the tee, but a stretch of water separates the end of the fairway from the green, and when combined with low-hanging foliage, can make for a do-or-die situation. Players have a relatively open early landing zone, but any error on the fairway or the green can easily end up in the water.
And welcome back, everyone. There's a conversation with Kat and Madison talking about letting the card in front of them possibly tee on hole number 12. And it looks like Kat is ready to go. And Kat with a forehand off the tee, just looking to lay up and really put herself in perfect position there.
Yeah, this is such a touchy little hole. I don't know if any poker players out there, when they say there's 3 ways to play pocket jacks and they're all wrong, I feel like that's about the same way with the drive on this hole. You can go with a backhand layup to try to land by that fish feeder kind of, which is what I tried to do very poorly. Madison looks like she's going for the green. That needs to get some legs. And that is in. So Catrina basically tried to hit the corner, which is the most popular play. However, there's 3 guardian trees right at the corner that'll throw you into the water real quick. Paige is going for that layup shot, and it'll leave her almost an identical shot that she just threw, about half the distance from the tee. However, a much harder landing zone.
And Natalie here going with a layup as well. Looked like to be her putter possibly off of the tee. So all playing relatively conservative. Madison, however, going for the green and coming up short. I'm going to walk down the fairway, and joining me as I walk down the fairway, I'm going to be joined by our tournament director in Doug Bjerkaas. And Doug, well, we're almost through day 1. Tell us what's going on out here.
It's not raining.
It's not raining, but it to some may feel like it with the humidity that's out here.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing the best we can. The women are playing very well. The pace has been just very right on track, right where we want it to be. The pace has been great. There's been 1 or 2 small holdups as expected on a few of the more challenging holes. But what else have you seen around the city of Emporia today in terms of the play?
Well, I've been at each of the courses, and play seems to be going smooth. We got off to a good start, keeping water on all the courses, which is important. So it's been awesome.
And we just saw your daughter, Paige, throw a great approach shot to within 20 feet of the pin. Is it tough to keep your mind focused on all the things you have to do, knowing your own daughter's out here competing?
Well, a little bit, but we got such pros out at each course running things that it makes it super easy. In fact, Rusko came by my office and said, hey, we should go out there for the final 9 of this round, and it's nice to be able to just walk out here and watch, absolutely. And we really appreciate what you guys are doing with SmashBoxx20 and covering it. It's just fantastic. You guys do such a good job.
Well, thank you. We are glad to be here, of course. The tournament presented by Dynamic Disc, along with the live coverage this week, brought to you large in part by the Professional Disc Golf Association and all of our amazing broadcast supporters and sponsors. We thank each and every one of them. and threading the needle just about perfectly and getting a little kick off of one of the tree stumps. Doug, out there we saw that Paul Macbeth has made it very clear he's vying for that 5th title in a row. He hasn't had the year that we know he's expected of himself, shooting a 15 under in the opening round. But we also hear that Ricky Wysocki is hot, and last I heard he was 7 under through 9 holes, keeping pace with his competitor in Macbeth along with the rest of the field. Do you expect any less of those two?
Not at all. I mean, you know, the 46 at Jones East that Paul shot this morning, I mean, I'm sometimes 46 after the front 9, so that was pretty impressive. And we're hoping for a dogfight amongst many competitors so that it's exciting. And, you know, with the increased payout at this year's Pro Worlds, they're battling after a pretty big purse, and we're excited about that.
And we can go ahead and talk about that, as it was announced at the players meeting that for the first time ever, we're going to see a $10,000 first place prize for the Open winner. And it's just amazing the amount of money that's been generated through the support of Dynamic Disc, Latitude, the city of Emporia, and everyone else. That's a pretty tall task, and you guys have accomplished it and then some. Did I hear 113,000 overall for payout?
130,000 plus for payout. Yeah.
I certainly don't want to undercut you by any amount right there. 130,000 in payout offered here. I remember a number of years ago being excited about trying to get that to that $100,000 mark. So along with that, we definitely have to make mention of the discs that people can still buy today that are in support of this event. Can you tell us what those are and how they can go about getting them?
Yeah, you guys can go to 2016proworlds.com. It'll actually send you a link over to the dynamicdiscs.net site where you can purchase one of 3 discs. We've got a X-Time FPO disc celebrating the 4 women who have won multiple world championships in the 2000s. We also have the same thing for the men, featuring the 4 men. What a shot by Madison, almost went in from the drop zone. We also have the FPO disc, the MPO disc, and then we have an All Champions disc, which is really cool because 13 of the 16 men or women who have won either an MPO or FPO championship since 2000 will be here, and we'll be at the block party for from 8 to 9 on Friday night signing those discs. So pick them up, support the event. We'll ship them to you. It's a great deal.
And I got to say, I saw the post a few weeks ago, and I had to pick up a set for myself, being a collector/hoarder that I am. And collecting a par there is, in fact, Paige with a solid up and down here on this very tricky hole, number 11. Earlier today, we saw my friend Dave Weisblum, a representative of Night Eyes and also a Masters age competitor. He said he lost his 13 or 14-year-old champion AVR, and he didn't have another putter, so not exactly the veteran move there, but he needs his putter.
David was a great supporter of our Glow Golf event, and Night Eyes has supported this event. I would tell David that there are a lot of judges at the Dynamic Disc store that he could go, and as a former AVR thrower myself, the judge has done just great.
In fact, I told him just the same, but we'll see if David can hopefully reclaim his go-to putter so that he can be out here for the rest of the week. I'd like to thank Night Eyes and their support of this event, the Glow, as you mentioned the other night, and of SmashBoxxTV. That organization has been just tremendous to us as we're watching a few final putts. Well, thank you, Doug. If there's anything else throughout the week you need to notify us of or keep us in the loop with, we welcome you anytime.
Well, if anybody's in town tonight, there's free bowling at Flint Hills Lanes. There's free mini golf at the Bourbon Cowboy. Lots of great things to do. Go out and support those Emporia businesses.
All right, that's Doug Bjerkaas. We'll be back with you in a few moments on the tee of hole number 12.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job. Go in. Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
And welcome back. We are joining our second to last card who are throwing their approach shots here on hole number 12. This is definitely a placement shot. This is a par 4 that really the best you're looking at is going to be a 3 here for birdie. Is that correct, Dixon?
Yes, I've only ever seen one person attempt to get it, and that was Simon during the first round of the Glass Blown Open, and he did not get it. He ended up going OB. The great spot, there's one giant oak tree on the left-hand side about 10 feet off the water. If you can be somewhere near that tree but just not right behind it, that's the best angle in. Your difficulty on this hole is actually if you drive a little bit too far, it will completely kill your angle at the green, and then you're going to have to get very tricky.
Well, and one of the furthest throwing women in the game, Catrina Allen, is also our current leader for all the scores that have been reported thus far. We see Catrina at 4 under par. Right behind her, but in the clubhouse, is Paige Bjerkaas at 3 under par. Now, we did not see a score for Sarah Holcomb or for Valerie Jenkins per se, along with another of the other women. I know they're going to get those entered as quickly as they can. And Dixon, that seems to be a pretty good shot there by Catrina.
Yeah, it's fine shot. She might be a little further than she wanted to. She's going to have to deal with some overhanging branches. If she had thrown that exact shot 20 feet shorter, she would have been in the prime landing zone.
And Bjerkaas would have probably liked to split the difference between where her and Catrina are. Seems as if that's going to be short, giving her... Wow, that's going to give her some serious challenge to try and approach to that basket. Madison is going to be throwing a backhand. She's up third. And again, Madison finds herself throwing and releasing it too high. We saw that early on in the round. Dixon, that was just before you had joined us. We noticed that Madison had 3 or 4 consecutive drives that she had released with the nose up. There she was throwing her KC Pro Rock. And Natalie's very controlled stance.
That's the spot right there. Yeah, 2 feet to the right of that tree. She's going to have an open throwing lane. She's going to have an open stance and a wide open line to the basket. Now, I mean, the hard part about this second shot is, so Natalie is in the best spot you can be. She's going to have to carry water for only 150. The distance isn't really the issue, but about a foot into the land after she crosses the water, there are guardian trees that are about 30 feet apart or so, so she's going to have to hit that gap. If you hit those trees, you almost certainly go in the water. So she's going to hit those and then carry another 30 feet to have her putt from where she's at.
And we'll be holding up for just a few moments here as we see the second to last card retrieving some discs from the water. Madison from this position is going to be laying up to the water's edge. She certainly is going to be playing this for her 4. And that loud Oldsmobile comes rolling through again. I'm not sure if that's part of a car show that's taking place here, but that loud Oldsmobile rolls through.
How else do you want your old Oldsmobiles? Do you want them quiet? No, they're supposed to be loud. So Madison here, she's basically trying to figure out what's the best spot to lay up to. If she felt like she should go for this, she's going to have to carry almost 300 on the forehand and then beat that guardian tree. However, the problem with the layup from here is she basically just needs to try to put it in between Catrina and Natalie, unless she wants to get aggressive around the outside.
And again, I mentioned it earlier, Madison with a nose-up release that catches the tree in front of her, and that's going to put her in no better position. She, in fact, may have to still lay up to the water's edge unless she wants to get very aggressive. But again, she's going to need to adjust that angle of release because it is costing her strokes left and right out here.
No, she was going for that one, which was very surprising to me. So I have no doubt that she'll go for this. She has the same angle pretty much, but she took 75 feet off or so. That was a very aggressive play. I mean, that would have been like a 10-30 rated shot right there to make that happen. Oh, Paige needs to get up, and she is over. And that little sign that says no swimming is right at the circle's edge. So anything inside of that is inside the circle. So Paige will have about 20 feet for her birdie 3.
And speaking of inside the circle, I believe that that's some type of show or a little program that you're part of. Is that true, Dixon? We'll hear that in a moment after Madison throws. And with a very overstable fairway, she's put herself within 6 feet of the pin. Great shot there by Madison. Now talk a little bit about this show that I believe you're part of.
Yeah, me and Bobby Brown, Cool Day Slick Breeze, and EMAC, Eric McCabe, have a podcast called Inside the Circle, where we talk about kind of the competitive side of disc golf. We talk about upcoming tournaments that just happened. We talk about the exciting things. For instance, at the Majestic last week, we talked about the playoff. We talked about Catrina getting stroked at the end of the round. We had a preview about World. So this is something that we cover every week.
Oh, and just when we thought Natalie was clear, she hits one of the low-hanging branch, and then it falls into the water's edge. Now, where will she have to take her next shot from?
I believe she'll take that right there. Those branches, I don't think they're hanging over the water. I mean, this will be a card call, but I would imagine that's close enough that they're going to say that hit land over there. There is a spotter here, but I don't know if that's necessarily one of his jobs to determine if that was inbounds or out of bounds when it hit the tree.
And Catrina Allen is looking at a forehand, standstill forehand. She's reaching out to her left. And I'm guessing she's going to put this within 20 feet and have an easy up and down. However, I've spoke too soon. She hits the edge of the bank and falls back into the water. Really, maybe just not enough power as she was stretching out to the left. Anytime you're throwing across your body, it's easy for you to lose your power and in your throw and your swing. And that was a very unfortunate error by Catrina Allen.
Do you realize what you've done? I would love to see the comments right now, Terry, about you just incredibly nicing that shot right there.
I pre-niced it out before she even had released it. We're also seeing Paige Bjerkaas is stepping back onto the course here after carding her 3 under par. I'm sure we'll catch up with her a little bit later to discuss some of her successes out on the course. Looks like she's going to pick up the bag for her good friend and travel partner in Madison Walker.
So the interesting thing here, so even though Madison had that bad drive, bad second shot, she had a great third. She's going to tap in for her 4. Whereas Natalie and Catrina, who had really good drives, both gacked their upshot and went OB, and they're both going to struggle for 4, each with probably about a 40 to 45 foot putt to the basket with a left to right wind freshening right now, probably about 10 miles an hour coming across them.
We're just coming up on the 2/3 mark of the course. Of course, this being hole number 12, we're going to stretch it out into the backside. And one of the things I had referenced a little bit earlier, maybe foreshadowed here, Dixon was talking about the backside of this course. Seems as if there's not quite as many obstacles and maybe a little bit more distance.
Yeah, there's not as many obstacles and there's not as many birdies to be had. Basically, until hole 16 and 17. 13, 14, 15, and 18 are all almost not undoable, but you have to have a fantastic shot. Whereas some of the ones we've played already, you just needed a good drive and a decent putt. So here, Catrina now throwing 4 after that penalty on her second shot.
And just catching left side chain with a little roll around the bottom of the basket and a fist pump by Allen. She finds that she's saving par here on hole number 12. And Paige Bjerkaas' putting woes continue here as she is on line that time, however short of the basket. She'll tap in. And we're going to move over to hole number 12, measuring in at 401 feet. Of course, that's hole 13 is what I was referencing. We'll be back with you in a few moments after our hole 13 preview.
Hole 13 comes in at 401 feet and plays mostly straight with a turn around the foliage at the end of the hole. Fairly open compared to previous holes, players can run into trouble with the wind coming across the field beyond the hole, as well as the green placed close to the foliage on the left-hand side. Most players are looking to get onto the green off the tee, but an errant shot can still turn a 2 into a 4.
And welcome back as we are here on hole number 13. We're going to wait for just a few moments while the second to last card moves along. And we want you to go out and make sure you share our link. We have multiple platforms running here today, but make sure you share the link so everyone can tune in for the back 1/3 here of this opening round.
Catrina's front foot slipped there. That's her D3, her power distance driver, and her front foot slipped, causing her shoulder to flare out. She got nose up and hyzer on that one. She hits trees about 150 short. She had a little kind of a weird hyzer angle to go from there.
And a great backhand here by Madison Walker, flexing out. She could have used a little more flair on that final few 50 feet or so, but great shot.
She needs it to hold that ante line. It's hyzering out. She needs that to sit. Okay, she'll be able to get a look from there. The problem, so you have the giant canopy on these big trees sticking out into the fairway, but if you're able to get left of those trees, there's a very low-hanging cedar collection that becomes very difficult to get in and out of. This is Natalie's Gold Line Havoc. And there it is. It's making him drive the bus. And Joe's got to drive the bus out of the way. Natalie Heiser's back nice. She's going to have about 60 or 70 feet. The trade-off that you do on this hole, if you get it too tight to the trees, it shortens your distance to get to the basket. However, it brings in a lot of trouble. The route that Madison and Natalie took there, going wider, it gives you a wide open putt in, but if you don't get a little air bounce or a big skip, it leaves you with that longer putt. So there's going to be two different ways that our players are trying to get up and down from here. Paige and Catrina are going to have an obstructed upshot, whereas Natalie and Madison are going to have a long open putt.
And speaking of different ways, I know I just mentioned we have multiple streams running out there. We'd love for you to share and subscribe, like, give a thumbs up. Do whatever you need to do on the social media aspect, but know that you can watch us on Facebook Live, of course on our SmashBoxxTV channel. You can also watch us on PDGA Live channel through the Facebooks, and of course on our SmashBoxx YouTube channel. Please go out and like and subscribe to all those. Share them with your friends, and make sure you put a little tag in there so all your friends on MySpace can see them.
Did you say put a tag in there?
Yeah, MySpace.
Is that like a brown paper bag?
MySpace. Simple standstill approach shot there by Catrina Allen as we feel a little bit of the wind pushing in our face as we're moving out here. And we are going to these more open holes that we're going to find on holes 14 and 15, along with, I believe, hole 16 as well, before we cut back into the woods. That is 16 where we cut back into the woods anyway.
Yeah, 16 is where we cut back, but this is actually how it was happening during my round is right when we were in here, we thought there was going to be a bunch of wind picking up all of a sudden, but as we got down to the basket on 14, the drive on 15, it was stifling how hot and still the air was. So there is a branch of the river there where all of the guardian trees have been taken down, so I think we're just happened to be standing in the little jet stream coming there. But here when we move 100 feet to our right, it's going to go dead again for our next drive and putt.
And lighter than she was looking for, maybe trying to, I'm not sure if she was trying to play for the wind and was maybe a little bit too concerned about getting the nose up on that, but Madison certainly released that too low, and she's going to have a little bit of a tester putt there.
Yeah, that's my guess, is that she thought she'd get a little bit of a bounce, but her Rhino comes up 20 to 25 short. She's going to need to buckle down and hit that headwind putt. Natalie now, that sewer grate that you can see on the ground is right at 40 feet. So Natalie about 15 or 20 feet behind that before her up and down for the three. And there's our little ultimate air bounce. Oh, and she almost sticks it in from 60. Great little run there from Natalie.
And as we move down the fairway here, we can feel that there is more wind than we've experienced any other time. Again, not a lot of obstruction out here, but certainly more wind than we felt any other time during the round.
Yeah, baby.
And we heard Paige Pierce give a burst of excitement there for Madison Walker after canning the putt. Paige graciously helping out our crew, giving us a little reprieve here with the water cooler situation. And Doug Bjerkaas had mentioned it earlier, they're keeping the water jugs full out here for all the competitors who are fighting this hot and humid temperatures. One thing I've never seen before is on each of the water jugs they have a note saying if this water jug is empty, you can simply send a text to a particular number and they'll make sure to get out and get it replenished as quickly as possible. We'll be back in a few moments after a whole preview of hole 14.
While it appears pretty simple off the tee, hole 14 still has the potential to cause trouble on the scorecard. The hole plays slightly downhill and the initial drive is framed well by an early tree, and only the strongest throwers will be able to go around it to the outside and still reach the green. An OB fence spans the length of the hole to the right and tightens up to the green considerably. The hole is relatively open with regard to foliage, though the area around the green has some branches that can cause trouble for putts outside the circle.
I'm Paige Bjerkaas. You're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Catrina showing off her en français skills.
Yeah, Catrina was able to count to 10.
I can count to like 100.
Wow.
Oh, do we have time? Do we have time for it now? Start.
No.
All right, we're not going to get.
I don't know. I guess I'm a liar.
All right. At one point, she could count to 100. And she does crossword puzzles, folks. I don't know. She's got it all.
I can count to 5 and finish in Estonia. Because it's Uksi, Ux, Coxy, Cox, Kulama, Com, Nelia, Nell. It's like the same, but different. And then, I don't know. After that. Pretty much fluent in 4 languages.
And as they've cleared off the pin here on hole 14, we'll be ready to tee in just a moment. And that catches a tree on the right side of the fairway. That looks like it may have kicked her left.
Yeah, very good bounce there. I bet when that hit the ground, I bet that hit the OP line and then bounced left.
And Dixon, as we move down the fairway here, I believe you said you had a scoring update from a few of the other women's scores that have made it into the PDGA database. Of course, we invite everyone to go out and check out pdgalive.com for all of your scores throughout the entire week. Thanks to Marty Gregoire and Jen and the rest of the staff, along with all of the media crew that has been helping out on the PDGA side. What did you see for some of the other scores in the women's division?
Well, so coming into this tournament, if you asked, I bet 95% of the people for top 4, maybe we can check with Johnny Van D about the skip ace percentages, but between Catrina, Paige, Sarah, and Val, those were the ones that everybody thought was going to do good here. And so right now, Looking at live scoring, Catrina is at 4 down through 13. Paige is in the clubhouse at 3 down. And Val and Sarah are both in the clubhouse at 2 down. So they are all sitting right there next to each other.
So it seems as if some of the early predictions are holding true, at least in the early stages here of round number 1. Our top 4 women's competitors all holding the top 4 spots. Of course, it's early with plenty of golf to play, but really no surprises there.
Well, and this is all projected because there could be scores that have not been reported on the live scoring. If you're looking at the pdjlive.com website, it will show you a bunch of scores, but it's not necessarily all of the scores. So, for instance, a moment ago, Sarah and Val were not on there, and it looked like somebody else was in 3rd place, even though their scores had already been turned in. So far as we know, those are the 4 best scores right now.
And one other note to make here is that anytime you're using a pdjlive.com, those are, of course, unofficial scores. A lot of times those are brought upon by volunteer scorekeepers, possibly a caddy or someone within the group. Those are not the official scores that we find being used during the tournament. They, more often than not, are correct. However, they are unofficial scores. Forehand with that rhino.
There's that rhino, 10 feet. Paige had for as low as her drive was, she had a big chunk of distance left for her upshot, and she threw a great angle. Got just past the century tree that's there on the left of the basket and got a little bit past it. I'm pretty sure she's still in bounds, but she'll have about 25 feet coming back. Katrina got very lucky on this drive. She had turned it over too much, and she nicked a limb, which slowed her down and took a little bit of the anhyzer off. Or a branch about 2/3 of the way down to where she ended, and then caught that tree, which totally straddles the OB line, and she got a left bounce off of that. So, as the story is with any tournament round, sometimes good things happen, and so it's up to her now to get up and down and save this par.
And she should have no problems from within 15 feet.
Especially, sure you want to say that to her?
I know I may have preemptively niced her prior back there on what was hole number 11 or 12, hole 12, but I'm going to go ahead and count that. She's one of the single best putters in the game of disc golf.
Well, in talking with all of these players, I was asking them, what their expectations were coming into the week, and with Madison and Paige and Natalie, they want to have a good showing. With Catrina, though, it's a totally different story. She expects to win, or at least challenge for the win. So I was asking her how important that was and how that affects how she thinks about the round. And she said something interesting, I thought of. She said, I've only got 1 world championship. And she said, I feel like I don't get the respect that I deserve for as good as I am. And she wasn't saying this in any sort of conceited manner, but just the idea that 1 championship, it's not good enough anymore. She feels like she has to have multiple championships to cement her legacy as being a great disc golfer, even though that's what she already is, and that she has already proven that. She feels a drive, a burn out there, that she's got to have more.
And Bjerkaas is in and out as that slips out the left side. And I'd like to follow up your statement a moment ago there, Dixon. We've seen so many of our women competitors dominate the sport of disc golf, have come in and won for multiple years during the World Championships. We've seen your Juliana Korvers. We've seen, of course, Elaine King, Des Redding, Val Jenkins, all with their multiple world titles. Same, of course, can be said of the 3-time world champ Paige Pierce. So maybe Catrina's putting a pressure on herself to get more than 1 world title. And somehow that one stayed in. I feel as if that may have slipped out. However, that stayed in for her. This is Catrina for her 3. And I had called it. She's in from 15 feet. Bjerkaas with a heartbreaking putt here on hole 14. We're going to move over to the lengthy hole 15. We'll be ready with that tee shot in just a few moments. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Pro World Championships presented by Dynamic Discs.
Are you new to disc golf? Or maybe you've been playing for a while and just saw some pro smash it with a Dynamic Discs Defender. But you're just not sure that disc is right for you. If any of this describes you, then the Dynamic Discs Buyback Program is for you. Just go to any of our buyback retailers and purchase a disc from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs. Try out that disc for 14 days, and if you're not completely satisfied with that disc, take it back and get it replaced with whatever disc you want in the store of any brand. Go to dynamicdiscs.com/retail to find a buyback retailer near you and get out there and play some disc golf.
I've just caught up with Zoe Andyke, and Zoe, World's Week is upon us. What do you got for us?
Well, this is it. This is the World Championships, and we train all year for this, and it's time to just let our bodies take over and do the work. Who's got the most focus is what this tournament is about.
You're going to have to focus through heat, a little bit of sunshine. We're going to have to focus possibly through some rain throughout the week. What are you focused on?
Nothing except for each shot. That's it.
All right.
Driving, putting. That's it.
How few shots are you going to take this week? Can we say 200?
Ooh.
Take about 200 shots this week. How's that sound?
Sounds great. As few as possible.
All right. That's Zoe Andyke. She's going out. And how many worlds is this for you?
This is my fourth one, and I feel like this is the one definitely the most prepared for. Grown up enough for. Oh, that's my tea time.
That's her tea time. She's going to get to it. That's Zoe Andyke.
Here we go.
Best of luck. I've just caught up.
Hole 15 clocks in at the longest hole on the course at 515 feet. The pin placement leaves little room for players to push out to the right, and tall grass often complicates players considering rolling the disc. A recently added grove of trees adds some spice to the hole and can complicate approach shots that fall short of the desired distance off the tee. The hole narrows down to a small peninsula surrounded by OB, but players will often need to consider whether a missed putt will stay in bounds.
And welcome back to hole number 15 as we were watching our second to last card of the day. I had teed off just before our featured card. They are completing hole 15, and in just a few moments, Catrina Allen will be taking the tee.
All right, you put it out.
And a crush here by Catrina Allen.
Safe. I can't do it. So that's awesome. I mean, that's
And Madison fading out to the left side of the fairway with her champion wraith.
Yeah, anything left on this. Really, the only thing you can't do is go right. There's a river that you can't really see from the box. Not a little stream, a full-on river that is overflowing flood stages right now, or close to flood stages right now. Yeah, this is Natalie's Goldline Havoc. This is what she threw 2 holes ago. She can get a really great ride out of that, and that's plenty of distance to have a standstill up shot on this hole.
And what did Macbeth finish? 15?
And making sure to stay clear of that river on the right-hand side that Dixon had just spoke of. We find out and left by Paige Bjerkaas. We also just have caught wind of another scoring update. Ricky Wysocki is 11 down through 14 holes, so he is certainly on a very comparable pace to what we saw from Macbeth. We'll see how he finishes out in the next few holes. However, he is at least on a pace that is in that Macbeth territory. And I think right out of the gates here, I know we keep talking about just Ricky or Paul. Obviously, there's a lot of really strong competitors out there, but most of the storyline seems to revolve around the two. Ricky having an incredibly hot year this year, getting the best of Macbeth more often than not, especially recently in high-pressure situations. And Paul Macbeth just really having a ho-hum kind of year, at least by his standards. Paul, of course, going for his 5th world title in a row, one of which he got by besting Ricky in a very dramatic 7-hole playoff back in 2014.
Yeah, I didn't realize until we were going to look at the statistics so that we could talk about it on Inside the Circle. 3 of Paul's 4 championships, Ricky was in 2nd place. I didn't realize it had been that close. Last year was kind of a stroll through the park in the final 9. Paul was up by so many that it wasn't even really a competition there at the end. But yes, it is between those two. Now there are plenty of other big names. Nico Castro is in at 12 under par. Jeremy Colling is in at 12 under par. Devin Owens is in at 11 under par. So some really great scores happening out there at Jones. Today is a good day for scoring. Not much wind, and the wind that it is out of the south, which generally helps out on that course.
And Bjerkaas with a near-perfect approach shot here. And Madison Walker is no more than 25 feet in front of her. She'll be looking at a very similar line and approach here. We'll see if she goes with a forehand, which is what I think she's lining up here.
Yeah, so even as far as these discs looked like they were out of line on these shots, they're still within about 250 wide open with a good angle.
I believe that is a KC Pro T-Bird. I think is at least what you had mentioned earlier. Either that or we're wrong throughout the entire day. But one thing I wanted to talk about the Jones course is that Eric McCabe recently broke his own course record, I believe, over there, bested it by a few strokes on a day he said everything was going right for him. What was the score, and how does that compare to what Macbeth just did?
Paul has turned in a 46 today. Emac turned in a 44 barely a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, on our Wednesday night staff tag match that we play here in town. It was a fantastic round. He had 3 eagles in a row on holes 4, 5, and 6. I see that looking at the live scoring, Paul eagled 5 and 6, so I guess there's one of the strokes that he's missing is he didn't get that 3rd eagle. But that sort of score of a 44, even a 46, that means that you had maybe 2 or 3 errors. It's not something that's really even possible. As I was counting through in my head on, okay, if I played that course perfectly for me, what would I score? And that was a 47, and that's if I played perfect, not any mistakes at all. And Eric still beat that by 3 strokes. It was just a ridiculous score. Looking at the scores so Glassblown Open this year, the round out at Jones East was awful conditions, so we don't really look at that to look at ratings. The year before, it was comparable conditions. Paul shot a 47, and it was rated 1070. So we were thinking that Eric's round might be pretty close to 1100 or just over.
Well, certainly a tremendous effort. Anytime you can say that. Eric McCabe still has a course record after seeing the best of the best come through here today. Again, there's a few scores that are still remaining. However, shooting that 44 sounds that much more incredible, especially once you compare it to what maybe our world's leader who had shot the 46 in Paul Macbeth.
I mean, I don't think 44 is going to get beat because, I mean, he had 3 eagles. Like, it's not like he just got all of the birdies. He had 3 eagles. Now, there was, he missed a couple of holes. I mean, he plays hole 1 for a 3. So I saw that Paul birdied that today. So, I mean, I guess there's 1 stroke. He did not get hole 10. That's actually the hole that Paige aced a couple of days ago. So, I mean, I guess there's a couple of extra strokes out there, but he's definitely stealing strokes by getting 2s on those other holes. Yeah, 44 is not getting beat anytime soon. I would take the field, everybody, for all week against that score, and I feel pretty confident I would win.
And putting with confidence all day long has been Madison Walker. Let's see if she can continue it here on hole number 15. Everything from inside the circle she's able to make, and then I just said
Jiminy
that.
Christmas, shut your
I've
mouth.
done it again.
Man, if the players could hear you right now, you would not be a fan favorite anymore.
Well, thankfully they cannot hear us, but that was very unexpected. As I was just saying, Madison has been so solid inside the circle's edge today, and then for her to not draw metal on that straddle putt is... I didn't say anything about Natalie.
Jiminy Christmas. Well, you just said, hey, everybody's going to come up here and grab these 3s.
So a few late round mishaps here taking place on hole number 15.
I'd say there's some late round mishaps going on the microphone right now.
And Natalie is in. So just 3 holes to play as they hopefully tap in these final few putts. Again, actually, Madison left herself with a little bit of a tester, but 3 holes to play here. The flow has been great today. That's one thing I mentioned with Doug Bjerkaas, the tournament director. I'll admit I was a little concerned being the final card of the day, thinking that things may slow down, but the flow has just been tremendous out here.
Well, Doug decided to go with 10 minutes in between cards instead of 8, as well as we cleaned up a couple of different places on the course to just help, with 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, and it seems to have worked really well.
That is hole number 15. We just have 3 to play. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsor, as well as a whole preview on hole number 16.
Much shorter than the previous hole, 16 leads the players back into the woods. Initially open off the tee, players must navigate a single tree with a gateway branch to find the entrance to the woods. The entrance sends the terrain sloping downward and the basket follows soon after, about 75 feet beyond. An OB creek traces down the right side of the hole and can be troublesome to players whose throws attack the basket.
Pure shot here by Catrina Allen.
Reaction.
That is within 10 feet of the pin. Great shot here by Natalie. We're going to move down the fairway here on hole 16. Our friend Madison Walker just now realizing that we're in fact live on Facebook, just letting everyone know that we have multiple feeds out there, Facebook as well as our YouTube account. Please make sure you check them out, share them, let everyone know that you're going to be watching live disc golf all week long. We're looking at approximately the 2 to 2:30 range for each of our following broadcasts coming in on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday morning will be live for this semifinals round, and then we're going to be bringing you the final 9 by both the men and the women in the afternoon on Saturday. Also tune in tonight at 8 p.m. Central for our live wrap-up show and podcast taking place at the Emporia Country Club. Bjerkaas is quickly up and throwing and comes up approximately 15, maybe 18 feet short. And she made the chicken indication. I can't say I've seen one of those on the course too frequently, but certainly concerned about the downward slope here behind the basket as Natalie came up short.
Yeah, we actually, during our practice round, she made that chicken noise on something, and we got into a long discussion about, like, that's about the only, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if I asked you what noise does a frog make around the world, you would say rivet or something, but a German frog says different things than an English frog, and their dog doesn't go bark, it goes vow vow.
And again, another misstep here, or lapse in communication by Madison Walker. I was about to say that I was going to count on this to go in. However, Madison now has put herself in an even tougher position because now she's going to have to worry about some low-hanging branches that are at least going to be in her peripheral vision, if not her direct line of play.
And she's putting to a downslope going towards OB. It's a really tricky green for as easy as the drive seems. This green can eat up a lot of strokes.
She's going to need to at least draw metal. If she were to have an air ball as she did a moment ago, it's going to cost her a few extra strokes. And making the great comebacker is Madison Walker here. Certainly a high-pressure putt. She's going to walk away with a par here on hole 16.
Yeah, as I don't want to belabor the point, but yes, our animal discussion noises. If you know somebody from foreign countries, this is a great icebreaker question. You know, what noise does your rooster make? What noise does your dog make? Because we found lots of interesting differences. And on top of that, Natalie speaks 5 languages. So not only does she know in her home language, she knows it in several other languages as well. So it was a pretty funny discussion we were having the other day, because you just assume a rooster says cockle-doodle-doo all around the world, but...
And welcome back, everyone. I am joined here by Sarah Lamberson along with Denise Cameron. And ladies, both of you are here for your 3rd Pro Worlds. Denise, this is your hometown. Any extra pressures?
No, not really. It's kind of just coming out, playing the courses like I usually do, just hoping to score how I expect.
Sarah, tell us about your experience here. It's hot, but you're kind of from the south. Is the weather going to matter?
Not too much. I'm wearing the black, so I was kind of regretting that decision this morning. But first time in Kansas, similar to the Tennessee weather, so should be all right. Just need to hydrate. Be a grape, not a raisin.
There you go. And both of you are squaring off during the same round. Are you guys playing against one another? And there's some history here. We have Rookie of the Year and Runner-Up Rookie of the Year. Are you going to show her who's up? What's up?
I'm going to try to, give it a good run.
My goal is just to be your best friend by the end of the round.
Yeah.
So for both of you, why don't you tell me a little bit about some of your plans? What have brought you here to the Worlds in 2016? What have some of your previous rounds and tournaments been this year?
I played a little less this year than I did last year, going after that Rookie of the Year title. Trying to work on a lot of fundamentals and kind of work some stuff out. But you can't go wrong with having Worlds in your backyard, so I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a fun time, and it's really cool to have everybody here. So.
And is this the first time I'm seeing you play that it's not a doubles event? Do you get out and play singles ever anymore?
Actually, yeah, I don't play many leagues anymore. I go out to some of the local courses. Traffic in Nashville has turned out to be horrendous. I just moved there recently. So I go out and just practice, one-on-one, throw on the field, do my putting. Yeah. Haven't played too many tournaments yet this year.
All right, well, we're looking forward to a great battle here. Rookie of the Year. Last quick question, favorite course here that you're going to be playing this week?
I really like Jones East.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to go with this one, Peter Pan. I love the character here.
All right. This is Sarah and Denise. We're going to catch them later in the week right here at the 2016 PDGA Pro World Championships. And welcome back. We're waiting for Catrina to do a little traffic control here, as this seems to be a major walkway as players are coming off of hole 16 and moving into position for the final two holes. And that's within 5 feet of the pin here for Madison Walker.
Great shot.
And that's also within 5 feet of the pin here. Natalie's going to like that. Again, we're winding down our final two holes here at the Peter Pan course. I don't believe we'll be revisiting this course throughout the week. I think you're going to find us mostly at Jones East as well as the Country Club. So we're glad that we could present this opening round. We'd like to say ladies first, having the women showcased here today. And as we mentioned earlier, make sure you tune in to Joma's Productions along with Central Coast, Prodigy, and all the other media assets that will be out here throughout the week. It is a monumental task that Marty Gregoire of the PDGA, along with his intern Jen, as well as Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Bobby Brown of Dynamic Disc, so many different entities all coming together here for this PDGA Pro World Championships week, hoping to bring you the most and I'll say the most extensive coverage offered at a disc golf event.
And Paige was holding off there for a second. The 17th, hole 17 and hole 18 are perpendicular to one another. So Paige was waiting for the hole 18 group to clear out, and she lays up to about 10 feet long. Natalie and Madison are both absolutely parked. Catrina's going to have about a 40-footer downhill, however, so we'll be curious to see how aggressive she gets with this after a solid round so far. And she has opted, in fact, for a layup. That may have been a little bit closer to 50 feet, but she opts for the layup here on hole 17. As Dixon has mentioned, she has a very solid round going for what we believe will be the clubhouse leading round after our opening round 1 here at the World Championships. Yes. Right now, Catrina has a 2-stroke lead. She is 5 under through 17, with our clubhouse leader being at 3 under. However, hole 18 does have a lot of OB and can offer 4s and 5s very quickly. Looking at the men, I see that Ricky is through 17 holes and he is at 13 down. So barring an eagle, Paul is going to be our first round leader after round 1 of the Pro World Championships. And as we move from 17 to 18, before we can get to the whole preview, I'd like to check in with our dynamic disc owner in Jeremy Rusko. Jeremy, some pretty exciting things happening out here on day 1. Yeah, I got to ask, any real surprises though?
Oh, no, been a smooth day. Lots of sunshine, so we're grateful for that. And it's exciting to see Macbeth off to a hot start, Wysocki right behind him, and the action shaping up here on the women's side it's exciting to see.
Well, it is, and we've mentioned it earlier today, and while I'm talking with you, I want to again reiterate just how warm and embracing the city of Emporia has been to disc golfers, not just for the World Championships week, but of course for the Glassblown Open, for the Worlds a few years ago. There's been banners and signs put up around the city that says Emporia knows disc golf. And I'm going to go as far as saying that's almost an understatement. Emporia loves and embraces and dials in on disc golf.
Yeah, I mean, our community is just hands down absolutely amazing. They have just really embraced disc golf. They continue to do whatever they can. They come and ask, what can we do to keep growing disc golf here? And we got a great relationship, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow the sport here. Last week alone, the Flint Hills Tech College said, hey, we're ready for some baskets. So McCabe went out there and designed a short little beginner-friendly 9-hole course and got baskets in the ground. And we still got to get the tee signs up, but we got a couple things going on here for the World Championship, so we put that on the back burner. And I'm looking forward to a great future here in Emporia, and hopefully we can continue to bring back big events.
Well, knowing that there's more baskets going in, one of the questions I have to ask of you is, what are the baskets per capita here for people? I mean, pretty soon are you going to have more baskets than people in Emporia?
Well, what is that? We got 25,000 people.
When school's in.
Yeah, when school's in. We do have a lot. And that's, the crazy thing is we still have so much growth to do on the local level. We do focus our efforts here locally to a minimal degree, but when people come to town, they think that the courses are going to be busy, and with this many courses and this many baskets, you walk up the whole one, and if you're waiting, for one group to tee off, you're upset. So I hope in the next 5-10 years, you do see busier courses where you do have to wait for just a minute, so that we can continue to just get more and more of the college community, the entire community involved in disc golf, and that's happening. And we're again excited about the growth of the sport, and excited to have the World Championships here, and glad you're here to cover it all.
We're glad to be here. Emporia knows golf, like I said, is certainly an understatement of the week, and we're excited to bring you all of the action. We're going to stand down for just a moment. We'll give you the hole 18 preview before we bring you the final hole right here during the opening round.
Hole 18 ends the course with one more romp through the trees. Players must aim for an entrance to the woods about 175 feet away from the tee and continue on through the trees to a basket that sits at the end of a clearing, about 355 feet in total distance. While navigating the trees is the main challenge, players must also watch out for the OB Creek that cuts off the back of the hole and makes for a small back of the green.
As we're moving down hole 18 in a few moments, I'm also going to catch up with Paige Pierce, who has one of the hotter rounds here in the clubhouse. And in just a few moments, it looks like we might be ready. We hope Jordan Walker and the rest of the crew are out there ready to take in all of the action right here on hole 18. Doesn't look as if Catrina has quite completed her crossword puzzle. I know she comes out with one nearly every round when she's playing disc golf to keep her mind focused on other things besides the game. We'll have to check in with her later and see how many answers she's got completed there on her crossword puzzle. We've seen a gallery come and go throughout the day here as some of the players have been getting off the course. They've moved over here and taken in the last half of this round. Oh, I see a number of the Open women competitors all congregated near the 17th green. Dixon, just one hole to play here, hole number 18. Not exactly a cakewalk.
No, not at all. Not any sort of walk here. It pinches down on the right side. It comes into the fairway with Shule, and on the left side it comes in with OB. Downslope at the end, very fast green, which goes to more OB, and trees all along the way. That if you think you have a good shot, they could kick you so that you find OB.
And a great height, I was gonna say.
Miller. What's your middle name? I feel like I need to call you by your middle name right now.
Need for that to hit something as it's heading toward the OB line on the left side, and a red OB flag is waved. And Catrina getting very aggressive here. A backhand roller that gets hung up on the left side, however, that looked like it was on a good line.
That is, that's a wild shot. To me, that seems like a shot that you would do if this is the absolute last hole of the tournament and you have to two. Yeah, because that shot has, yes, it has a percentage of success for sure. But right about where she hit that tree is a downslope. So if she were to catch that downslope without hitting anything, it's almost writing an invitation to OB.
Well, I have invited Paige Pierce to check in with us here as she's come in off her round and assumed some caddy duties. Paige, give us a quick overview of your round out there.
2 2s and 2 4s. Nothing too special. Just kind of played safe and. I wanted a few more birdies, but I couldn't get off the tee very well. It was so hot. I was early releasing, late releasing, and just scrambling, basically.
Any adjustments that you'll make for the temperatures or the conditions tomorrow?
No, it's I know what to expect. I just gotta, I'll have a little more room out at all the other courses to adjust. So that'll be nice to, if I miss my line by 2 feet, I won't hit a tree at Jones or Country Club.
So it looks safe to say you're looking forward to a little bit more space.
Yeah, definitely. I do love this course, though. I just didn't play it very, very well today.
And you've been watching Madison. We'll wait for her to get her caddy duties taken care of here first, and then I'll follow up with her. You've been watching Madison for roughly a third of the course here. After she throws, we'll get your shots on that.
Good hold, Paige.
and Bjerkaas holding in a sneeze. What I meant to say before that throw was that we'd get your thoughts on some shots. What'd you think of what you've seen by Madison in the last third of this round?
You know, she's done real bad. She airballed 2 putts big time. But no, I'm just kidding. No, she's been playing really good. She lost her main disc that she's had in her bag for like 6 years. Early, actually the hole before I got here. She told me she lost it, and she's been throwing this Nate Sexton Firebird a few times since I've seen her. And she just parked 2 holes ago, and yeah, she looks like she's playing well, hitting the basket solid, and hopefully she can finish this round out by hitting this, saving this par.
I made the mistake earlier of saying that she was putting so incredibly consistently and had been drawing metal or making really every putt inside 30 feet. And then, of course, as soon as I said it, there's one of those air balls you had mentioned.
Of course, but it's not your fault. You know, it's just how it goes. You're going to miss some. You're gonna make some, and especially in this temperature out here, the putter doesn't really like to come out of your hand when you want it to.
I think we've seen a few challenges by Bjerkaas today. And that is just short. We've seen a few challenges by Bjerkaas. She's had some uncharacteristic air balls as well, and it seems as if maybe it's just not coming out of her hand cleanly.
Yeah, you don't really see Paige miss low ever, and I've seen it a few times. She's such a great putter, and I feel like she's putting a little bit scared. There are a lot of OB lines right by the baskets out here, so that might contribute to that.
And as Catrina will be tapping off her round, it looks like she's going to be our leader after round 1. I think I last heard she was 4 or 5 under. Very solid round. Dixon indicating she's 5 under par. That'll probably put you just a few strokes off of her. Tomorrow, where are you going to be heading, and what are you thinking?
I believe we play Jones, but is that correct? Country Club. Yes, we play Country Club. So it's just throw far, stay in bounds, and make your putts. Trust your disc in the wind, so hopefully I can come up with at least 3 out of 4 of those.
All right. Well, Paige, thanks for joining us. We're going to let you wrap up your caddy duties here with Madison, and we'll look forward to hearing from you tomorrow night. Maybe you'll stop by the Country Club, give us an update tonight.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. That is Paige Pierce. We're going to let the women go ahead and add up their scorecards. Dixon, before we do that, do you have any parting shots here on the day?
Well, I mean, it's shaken out like we thought it would. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Warriors were in the finals. It wasn't really a surprise to anybody. Cage and Pat and Sarah. Well, I did that. Man, I keep doing that. Cage and Pat. Kat and Paige and Sarah and Val being the top 4 scores that we see is not really a surprise. But it's not a boring. It's not boring routine. It's exactly what we want to see. We want to see the best battling it out on these courses. I mean, this is what I was looking forward to coming into the Worlds. Is that this wasn't going to be the sort of tournament where somebody was going to run away with it, because it's so much of executing shots that you should know. They're just difficult to do. It's nothing tricky. You don't have to have thumbers or a Scooby shot or a perfect roller or anything like that. You need to execute the stuff in front of you and stay away from the bogeys, stay away from the circles. And so that's what that's what it's shaping up to be, and that's exactly what I'm excited about, because I want to see how it's going to finish.
And other things we need to stay away from are the heat. We're going to be doing our best to make sure all of our players and our staff and all the volunteers out here have been very well hydrated, hiding under umbrellas, using whatever we can. What have you seen in terms of the weather for the next few days, and how is that going to impact us?
Well, actually, I think it's supposed to be warmer tomorrow.
Awesome. And let me just say that, awesome.
I think appreciably warmer, like not just a degree, I think 5 or 6 degrees. And then a chance of rain on Thursday, and cooling. So that would be good. It looks like the high is going to be in the low to mid 80s, whereas tomorrow the high is going to be in the mid 90s or so. So it's going to be more of what they experienced today, and just more to a greater degree.
And then for you, on a personal note, you're going to be out there competing yourself tomorrow after a solid opening round. What's your game plan?
Well, I mean, I thought that Peter Pan would be the park where I would have to make up strokes because of its shorter distance and it's a little bit more technical, a little bit more chance for some OBs. So I'm really happy with the score that I had going out to the country club and to East, which is where I put in most of my practice. And I was actually scoring, as far as raw number-wise, about the same at East as out here at Pan, and East is a substantially more difficult course. So I'm looking forward to going into those courses where I feel more confident. Peter Pan for me was kind of a course where just put up a solid number and then try to gain back on everybody. So coming out with more than solid, I'm very happy with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We're going to catch up with Catrina. I don't know if she's going to hand. We're going to brief interview. Thank you very much, Dixon. Catrina.
Hi.
It's a very solid round out there. Very few mistakes, if any. What's your plan tomorrow?
Same game plan. I just want to have a look for birdie. Don't do anything too crazy. Still trying to get over, even though I made the big putt to save the par on, what hole was it? 10, 11, something over there in the corner.
11.
Still kind of a silly mistake that's like sticking in my head. But no, I thought it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, great recovery there to save the par, as you said, just when you had come up short in the water. People out there want to know, we talked about your crossword puzzle. How far along did you get today?
Oh, I don't know if I can reach it. For some reason, when Marty's there, I'm like much better because we normally do them together, but not a bad start.
All right, she's at least half. Now, will you go? Now, will you save the rest of that for tomorrow, or will you finish that tonight?
Oh, maybe finish it tonight, but then I'll start a new one. So if I don't get it done in that day, then it's just over with.
All right. That's Catrina Allen. She is your clubhouse leader, leading here at the 2016 PDGA Pro Worlds. Go turn in your scorecard.
Okay,
nice round.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it again, Catrina, and our opening round here with the women, doing everything we can to stay cool and hydrated for the day. It's been a great day as you guys have joined in and tuned in and joined us on all of our media platforms. You're going to see more of that throughout the rest of the week. So, for our entire staff, for all the amazing sponsors and supporters that have helped us with this broadcast, including our title sponsor in the PDGA, along with Gary to the O on camera, along with Joe Height, Johnny V back at controls, Justin on backup, myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, Dave Weisblum, along with my co-commentator in Justin Dixon. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow for our second round action taking place with the Open Men's Card, or we'll see you tonight with our podcast. I'm the disc golf guy. We'll see you when you step inside the Smash Box. Hello, everyone, and joining me now is Maria Oliva of Rockwall, Texas. And Maria, this is your first ever Disc Golf World Championships. Skip the AMs, and here you are at the pros. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's my first world, experience, so I'm really excited, and I've been practicing a lot, so hopefully it pays off. So I'm excited.
Of course, a very competitive field. I know you're friends with a lot of the pro women, but you've only been involved with the sport for a few years, playing professionally. What's it like being here at this first World Championships for you?
It's really exciting, and I'm ready to, try to play to my full potential today. I've been working on my mind game, putting, everything I hope it clicks today.
So we're just about to tee off. To put this in the framework for everyone, you're just about to tee off. What are you thinking as you're here at the Peter Pan course? Does this one favor any part of your game, or is there anything that you're excited about when you come out on this course versus any other course?
Actually, I'm not too excited today about this course. I practiced it once, and I didn't do too bad, but there's just a couple holes that kind of got me. I didn't get to practice them again. I'm really excited for Country Club, though. That's the course I really want to play because I like throwing far.
I was just going to say, you like the distance out there. Is that it?
I do. I love that. And I have some really good discs that fly just the way I like them to, so I'm excited for that course.
All right.
I
well,
don't like this course, but...
Oh, no, that's fair enough. And from Texas, you're used to dealing with the heat. How does this feel?
This is actually really nice. Yeah,
Sure.
Because out there it's like 106 every day and just awful. So I'm enjoying this right now.
All right. She says she's enjoying the weather. That's great. Maria Oliva from Rockwall, Texas, her first ever PDGA World Championships. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you on a leader card later in the week.
Thanks. Can I give a quick shout out
Please
to
do.
Landon Knight for teaching me everything I know, and Casey and Tobin and my parents.
Of course, the parents. All right, that's Maria Oliva. We'll see her later in the week.
Hi, I'm Val Jenkins, and I hope you're sitting back and relaxing as you're watching SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and joining me now is Maria Oliva of Rockwall, Texas. And Maria, this is your first